Hello, folks. We're live, I hope. If somebody can let me know that they can see me and hear me, that would be good in the chat. This is the fourth live stream I've done for the Matthew Allton Art channel, I think. I don't know if anybody noticed the deliberate mistake on the graphic that I circulated for this video. It said the first, but that's because I was reusing the old graphic from the first one. But it's actually the fourth live stream that I've done. The point of these live streams, for those of you that haven't attended before, is to sort of maybe get to know me and see my face, because my face isn't on the videos that I do normally. I'm concentrating on the drawing and the painting that I'm doing. So a chance for people to get to know me and to maybe ask me questions about what I'm doing and maybe make suggestions about what I should do in the coming month. Hello, Mark. Hello, Dawn. Nice to see you here. Good old faithful fans. Just wanted to start with thanking people for subscribing. If they have subscribed, and if you haven't subscribed yet, do. And to start with some stats, the graphic was updated correctly with the number of subscribers that I've got to this month. It's now 427, and I think the graphic said 425 or 425 plus. So I'm getting there, but I haven't actually had any new subscribers for over a week. So something strange is happening, because normally I'm used to getting a few each day. So hopefully that will change, and I'll have another spike on viewing figures in the coming month and get me further along the way. I've also had so far 2,781 watch hours since I started the channel, which was back in June sometime, middle of June, I think. So doing very well on that front. You have to have 4,000 before you can try and monetize the channel. So almost 3/4 of the way there on that, and not quite halfway on the numbers of subscribers. So if you know anybody who likes art and could stand listening to me every month and every week when I do a video, do let them know about me and tell them to subscribe. That'd be really good. I've also got 43 videos now. There's been a few less videos done this month. I've been quite busy, so I haven't done quite as much artwork, but we'll review what I have done shortly. So it might be a bit of a shorter video than the normal ones. But I'm also trying to get stuff going in the background for the channel. So I've updated the website over the last couple of evenings. I don't know if everybody knew that I had a website, but go and have a look at it if you didn't. It's www.matthewallton.co.uk, and I added a gallery of all the work, well, some of the work that I've created this year for 2023 in the fine art section. I hadn't done any updates on the website for, well, this year. So that's now up to date with where we are. And I've also put lots of links on that 2023 galleries to things like Facebook, YouTube. Oh, Mark's already been and had a look at the website. Apparently, it looks amazing. Doesn't look too much different to the last gallery, but it's good to see it populated with work. I was wondering whether to carry on with the website, really, because it takes a little bit to update it and it costs me a little bit to host it and stuff. But I think on balance, it's a good thing to have, and especially if it can possibly point people to things like Etsy, where I sell my work, Facebook, the Matthew Allton Art Facebook page that I've got, and that sort of thing. I've also started researching this month how Patreon works. I sort of want this channel on YouTube to be a bit of a community. I've mentioned it before, where the people who are learning to draw and paint or whatever can collaborate and communicate with other people at the same sort of level and help each other to get better at art, really. And YouTube itself doesn't really lend itself to that. So you can't, for instance, upload photos to comments and things like that. So I'm having a bit of a look into Patreon and seeing whether I could create a community where we might do monthly challenges all together, or whatever, paint the same or draw the same thing and share the work that we create, those sorts of things. It might not be possible. I don't know much about it yet, but I've set up a page and I need to work out how it might work. So maybe I'll ask people shortly whether they think that's a good idea or not. I don't know. Okay, so let's start with having a look at what we've done this month. I started back on, which date was this? The 5th of November with the first piece of work. This was piece 54 for the year. I suppose this month really has been a charcoal month, if I'm honest. I've been doing quite a lot of charcoal work. This was from a model that posed for me for a photo shoot a good few years ago, and I've not really used any of the photos from that shoot until fairly recently, and this was one of them. If you follow the channel, you'll have seen this box that's been draped in a sheet several times, and it features with this model because I get him to stand on it and lean up it and those sorts of things. And this was the first thing. So charcoal, hadn't done it for a long time. Mark is asking if it was a difficult pose to sketch. And thank you, Rob, for saying it's beautiful work. That's very kind of you. If I sometimes don't see the comments pop up, just bear with me until I read them. I forget to read them, but then I look across and read them and see that people have been commenting. So charcoal experimentation, a long time since I've done it. I used to use charcoal all the time. Those of you that started watching the channel a long time ago would have seen some of the old life drawing portfolios that I did. And one of the most common media that I used in those was charcoal and pastel and those sorts of things. I used to use it quite a lot for life drawing. But it's been a while since I've done it, so I've been really enjoying getting back into it. This was the first thing that we did, as I say, on the 5th of November. Quite pleased with it. Captured the pose quite well. Feet aren't too bad either. I'm not very good at drawing feet. If you watch the videos, you'll have noticed me saying that. I'm not particularly happy with the head on it. But, can't do brilliantly all the time. But that was the first piece. Then we moved on to another piece of charcoal work. And this was in response to the last live stream. I had somebody on who challenged me to do a self-portrait. And that was the effort that I did. It's not perfectly like me. There's something a bit wrong around the mouth with it. And there you go. You can see me side by side, and it isn't perfect, but there is a likeness there. If I was in a room with 20 other people, you'd probably be able to pick me out as the person who this was a picture of. I was quite pleased with it, really, because I'm not particularly good at getting a likeness, and I think it's fairly like me, to be fair. And this was done on the 10th of this month, just gone. So I succeeded on that challenge. Multicrons, if you're on, if you are, I did it. If you're not, then I'm sure you'll probably catch up on this live stream at another time, and you'll see that I did manage to fulfill your challenge. On another note, I know Dawn has in the past, I think it was right back on the first live stream, challenged me to do some flower work, some work of flowers. And I actually did try that this month, but I didn't get anywhere with it at all, and I threw it away. So I ripped it up and screwed it up. It just isn't my subject, really, I don't think, but I'm not saying I won't do it in the future. I'm hoping to return to it at some point. So watch this space. You never know. You might find some flowers turning up at some point. But I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'd rather not put myself off doing work and do stuff that I want to do and that's interesting me. You never knew that, Dawn, that I'd tried the flowers. Well, I kept it quiet because it was so awful. But I will try at some point in the future. So watch this space. There will be some flowery work at some point. So I failed on that challenge, but I've succeeded on another. The next piece of work, I think these are in order, was another charcoal, the same model as we've just seen, who leaning back on the box sort of thing. I don't really know what to call that pose, sort of leaning back on hands and feet. I don't know. Anyway, this one I'm quite pleased with. It's quite large, as you can see. I'm not used to working large at all. And this is quite a large drawing for me. Again, I'm really pleased with the pose on this one. I think I've captured the weight of the body and the angles correctly, and everything like that. Again, the head's not brilliant, but it's okay. It's human. It doesn't look particularly like the model. Not quite as good a likeness as my self-portrait that we've just seen. So I was quite pleased with this one. It looks nice in its frame as well. It is up for sale on Etsy. You can get to that by looking on the description. I think I've put a link on the description for the actual video where I created it. And of course, also, as we were just talking about, on the website now, on the 2023 gallery, there's also links to this specific drawing on Etsy. But also you can get generally to my Etsy account on there in the top title bar of the gallery 2023. So that was the next piece of work, and that, I don't know what date that was done, if I'm honest, but sometime after the 10th, fairly recently, I think. Then last weekend, we've got another framed piece here. Here's a crow, again in charcoal, so it's definitely been a charcoal. Everything that we've looked at so far has been charcoal, but that's good. Practicing things one after the other is quite good when you're using the same media, because it gets you used to that media again. But then, of course, I like to swap it up and I start painting again with gouache and I'll forget how to use charcoal again properly. But I was quite pleased with this as well. This was done last Saturday. It was a rainy day. No, last Sunday, I beg your pardon. Last Sunday. So fairly recently. Quite successful, I think. Why did I choose a crow? Because it's something that would work very well in charcoal, really, because it's black. And I've been wanting to do a crow for quite a long time. I sort of do quite a few birds, really. I've done a few birds in my artistic career. In fact, Dawn, you bought one. You bought a robin last year that I did in gouache. So you know I do birds. There was also a blue tit that I did around that time last year. And in the past, I've done my pet budgie. I've had 2 pet budgies, and I've done paintings of them. I think they were oil paintings, and a seagull as well. So I quite like birds. They're quite interesting things to draw, I think. Trying to get the texture right with the feathers is quite challenging sometimes, I think. Thank you for saying you love my seagull one, Mark. It was sold a long time ago. It is on the website. So if people go and have a look at the website, matthewallton.co.uk, as I mentioned earlier, it's on quite a long time ago. I think it's one of the first paintings that's on the site. So if you go back to 2012 work or something like that, you'll probably find it in there. So why did I do that? And I know you like crows as well, Dawn. So that's why I did it. I think I won a print of a crow, didn't I? And gave that to you because you like crows. If anybody's knows anything about Dawn, there's some people that know Dawn on this stream. She had a pet jackdaw a few years ago. It kept landing on her head every time she went outside the house. So I don't know what that means, but yeah. The one I bought you is framed. Yes, I think you said it was framed. I think it's on your stairwell, isn't it? Right then. The only other work that I've got so far for this month then is the life drawing session that I attended Sunday evening. So I had a very busy arty day on Sunday. I was doing that crow earlier on, and then I went and did a life drawing session. It's the Nuneaton class that I went to last month, and I think I showed the work from that session last month, which was a male model. Luckily, this month it was a female model. I've been wanting a female model, really, because I do a lot of male life drawing, and I know a lot of people who will pose for me, and it's quite nice to have a change. Variety is the spice of life. It's really good to go to a life drawing class for those of you that haven't been to one and do art, in that it challenges you to work fast and not have a choice in what you're drawing particularly. So it's good from that point of view. I don't know if you'll see these very well because they're quite pale, these first ones. The first three here are 2-minute poses, and it's very difficult to get anything drawn in 2 minutes. If you imagine how long 2 minutes is, to get a figure that looks like a figure in that time is quite difficult. So that's why on these sorts of 2-minute poses, you don't put a head in particularly, certainly not a face. You put a head in, just the shape of the head. This was when the model was clothed. The first half of the session was a clothed model where she's wearing sort of a short, tight-fitting dress sort of thing. And I think I've managed to get the pose quite quickly and quite accurately. The other people who were drawing in the session, there was about 20 people at the session this time, came round and had a look, and they all sort of thought that I'd got the proportions right for most of my drawings, which is a good thing to see. So not too disastrous. So that was the first 2-minute one. Then we moved on to another 2-minute one. And again, I think I've managed to get their pose fairly accurate for that one. You can see that it is a human and that they are stretching their arms out and they've got their legs apart and they've got a head. So again, all done in 2 minutes. Next one, 2 minutes again. This is the one that is slightly out of proportion. The legs should be much longer, of course, compared to the top here, but you know, you can't notice everything in 2 minutes. I'd managed to get a more accurate head on this one, and of course I needed to because it's where the arms were. The model was putting her hands on her head really, so I needed to spend a bit more time on the top half. And it's not terribly wrong. I just should have made the knees slightly lower. The knees should have been between where they are and the bottom of where the legs taper out now on this picture. But again, in 2 minutes, not too bad. We then moved on to a 15-minute pose with the model sitting on a cushion on the floor with holding one knee. Managed to get a head on this one in a more accurate sort of head with a face on it. It looks human at least, which is a good thing to see. 15 minutes seems like such a long time when you've done 3 pictures at 2 minutes. Oh, Russ Clark's on. Hello, Russ. Long time no see. Thank you for joining us all the way up there in Yorkshire. I sent you a message not too long ago when Dawn and I were up in Yorkshire, in Kettlewell, and you replied, so thank you for that. I hope, Russ, that you are making strides and starting to do your art yourself, because I know that you're very talented, but you don't do very much like I used to be. And I'm trying my hardest to do as much as I can at the moment. So the next one in the life drawing session was this one, which was horrible to do. I was trying to explain this to Mark the other day, foreshortening and how difficult foreshortening is. I think I've just about managed to get the pose correct. It's very difficult with foreshortening. The model was sort of pointing almost towards me, not quite. The person I go with, Rob, who sat next to me, he really did have a head at one end and feet right down the other end. It's difficult to do because you can't see anything that looks how you expect an arm to look or a leg to look. A cylinder is an arm and a leg, really, if your brain tells you that it's a cylinder. But of course, if it's foreshortened, it doesn't look like a cylinder. If you're looking along an arm, it looks like a series of sort of circles, offset circles, where the muscles stick out one side or the other, or the elbow sticks out. So it's very difficult to judge the angles and the distance. And things like the head in this pose should be bigger, much bigger than the feet, to make it look like the figure is receding into the distance. And sometimes you don't get those right. You don't exaggerate the size of the head enough or shrink the feet enough when you're doing this sort of thing. But I think it's almost there. This was a 15-minute, but I think I said on the video when I went through these individually after the live drawing session, I could have done with longer, really, for a complicated pose like that. But it's almost there. The second half of the session was the model unclothed. This was an easy one to do after the very complicated one that we've just seen. Again, this was 20 minutes, I think, this one. So again, I had time to do a face on this. The shadow under the face of this looks like she's got a beard, unfortunately. It's a bit of a shame. But hey, I was saying this to Dawn the other day. I can't unsee that beard now, but it is actually just shadow. She had very thick and very long hair. In fact, I haven't really drawn the hair long enough on any of these pictures. It was sort of down to the bottom of the back, really. So that created dark shadows under her chin, but they sort of look a bit like a beard on this. Hey ho. But overall, I was quite pleased with it. Not a disaster. And then the last one for that evening was just a seated pose, which was 25 minutes, I think, for this one. And again, not unhappy with that, really. I think the pose is quite accurately caught. And the face isn't too bad on that one. And there's no beard on that one either, which is a good thing. So that one was 25 minutes. The time absolutely flew by, quite frankly. It's a really good thing to do. I wish it was more often. There isn't one in December because, of course, it's normally the last Sunday of the month, and that's around Christmas and stuff. So the next one's in January. So it'll be a very big break before I can go again to the next one. Mark's asked a question in there. Do I feel rushed when doing time sketches? Yes, absolutely. In 2 minutes, very rushed. But it really is good for making you concentrate on what's vital to capture a pose and what's like superfluous, really. So the facial features aren't really important if you're just capturing the way that somebody's standing, for instance. So yeah, very rushed on the shorter one, certainly. It almost seems an impossible task. I did feel really sorry because there was quite a lot of beginners at the group this time. And asking them to do a 2-minute sketch is really quite daunting. I think you need to be quite experienced and quite confident to be able to even attempt to do anything worth looking at in 2 minutes, really. So I felt a bit sorry for them. But they managed okay, and it's a good thing to do. Stops you being too precious about what you're doing. Right, I'm just going to start a poll because I would like, now you've seen all the work, to vote on which you thought was the best piece this month. This is just an experiment, so bear with me if this all goes tragically wrong. And I'm sure you're really not very interested in watching me type, so I've tried to do this by copying and pasting it from a question I've prepared earlier. I'm doing these in order, so I know there's a few charcoal male nudes, but hopefully you will know which one I'm talking about because it was the order that we did it in. So I'm just putting in a few options here. I'm not sure this is really working very well. I'm not sure people want to watch me copying and pasting stuff from one place to another, but let's see if it works. And this might give me an indication about the sort of thing that I should be doing on the channel, maybe. I'm nearly there. Honest. One more option to add. Oh, I can only add 4. Okay, so it'll have to be the 4 that I've added. If you really liked the live drawing sketches best, then you'll just have to type that to me. But you should have on there a poll that's popped up so that you can vote. Let's see if that works. I'm not sure there's enough people on to actually make that work, but I'll leave it there for people to do. Also, do people think that this Patreon thing is a good thing for me to explore? Is it something that you think might be useful to develop a community of people who are trying? Would, for instance, if you're still on, Russ, would you join the Patreon and try and do some of the challenges? It's not about doing perfect work. It's about learning together, including me, from other people that have done work that month. There is 100% of, I don't know what that means. Oh, everybody liked the crow most. 100% crow. 2 votes. So 2 people like the crow best. Interesting. More birds then, I guess. I did joke the other day that I'd done an old bird at the the life drawing group as well, but perhaps a bit of a distasteful joke. Okay, well, I think that's all I needed to say to everybody. Thanks for joining me. It's great to have people to actually talk to, because sometimes when you do these at the beginning, you're on your own and you're just talking, and for people to watch at a later date. But it's good to actually have somebody to talk to. So thank you very much for joining me. I think it's the first one I've done midweek. I think normally I'd do them at the weekend. So I think this is the first midweek one. But I wanted to get it in before the end of the month, and the end of the month is tomorrow. I'm hoping that next month I'll have lots more subscribers, because, as I said, it's been a bit of a slow month, or slow end to the month, certainly, in terms of subscribers and views. So I hope something goes viral this month. That would be really good. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you on the next one. Okay, bye.